So basically what we're going to do today, we're going to concentrate specifically on the writing paper of the B1 exam. So I'm going to be talking about, Year 4 students, the B1 test. So we're going to be concentrating more on the test, probably. I will also try and give resources, ideas, whatever. But today, I'm going to be concentrating a lot on the exam. Because some of your schools are going to be taking the exam in some weeks' time, okay? These are more or less, I'm not sure these are the objectives of the session, but basically what we're going to do today, okay? We're going to have a look at the specifications, at the official exam specifications for V1 in Aragón. Then we'll analyze the success criteria, the descriptors of the rubric, with some tips and resources and how it. So basically analyze them, see what they say, and how can you work on this with your students. We'll try and do something, it's not exactly benchmarking, but we'll try and do something similar. We'll analyze a couple of samples, B1 writing tasks, and we'll compare it against the rubric and then the descriptors and the scales to see how they fare against the descriptors, and see how you think. And because you're sitting in groups, you will have to reach an agreement in your group. This is what you do in benchmarking, okay? And then finally, I'll try and give you further ideas, resources, and places, I don't know, websites you can. Okay? So, one of the documents I'll share with you, but basically it's an official document, are the official specifications for B1. If you go to any Escuela Oficial de Idiomas, it's there on their websites. So it's an official document. I'm not sharing anything which is, private information, or I'm not disclosing anything. Okay? I'm going to be showing screen captures, screenshots of the specific parts for writing, but because you will have the presentation, if you click on the link, it takes you. I think I took it from the Escuela number 1, or anyway, it's in all the escuelas. They have to make it public. Okay, so if we concentrate on the writing paper here, at B1 level, you have 2 writing tasks. You have the first one is the so-called interactive writing task, which is typically you've read something and you have to respond, or you have to write an email to somebody. An email at B1 is very popular, so probably write an email asking something or responding to something like that. And then the second one tends to be a more what they call productive writing, essay, pros and cons, opinions about something. The first one is slightly, or might be slightly shorter, as you can see, from 100 to 140, and the second one from 120 to 170. Okay, it's slightly longer than last year. I think last year they were a bit short, but anyway, this is what they get, and they have 60 minutes to write both the first and the second writing task. Okay, in the exams for Year 4 students, they're going to have a short break because they will have done reading, they will have done listening, they will have done mediation. There'll be a short break, and then they will do the writing tasks, because it's a rather long exam, as you know. But there will be a short, some 10-minute break or something like that. Okay? Okay, and these are basically the types of text that students are supposed to be writing. For the first one, for the what they say co-productive or interactive writing, you have basically 2 types. You have letters, emails, etc. What about telling news, emotions, making comments, wishes, tips, exchanging information, ideas, whatever? So as I say, probably, letters or emails, Letters, not many people write letters today, so they tend to say, write an email to a friend, write an email to whoever, okay? And then maybe notes, memos, messages, but not that popular, I would say. And then the second task, when you have to produce somehow, it might be something related to maybe writing a short report, making comments, for example, about films or books, writing something on your own personal diary or blog, contributions to blogs, again, very popular, very typical, yeah. Short articles, pieces of news, short descriptions, or maybe biographies. Okay, but probably, as I say, blogs, blogs are very popular, maybe films, and short articles. So, I mean, it's typical stuff. It's not that different from what we do every day in class, okay? And somehow the areas that they have to write about, again, nothing new. So, personal information, family, likes, dislikes, physical description, personality, so very general, home, everyday activities.
Natalia,
yeah.
Because,
the one that says,
jobs,
exactly, work probably wouldn't appear for year 4 students, or something that had to do with, I don't know.
Because they are usually slightly different, right? Like the exams that...
slightly different in terms of the topics you're discussing. I mean, the structure of exams and everything is the same.
I mean the topics.
The topics, they tend to be adapted to their interests, to their ages, to what they know about the world. Yeah, so probably work would be one of those that wouldn't come up. I don't know, if I had to write the exam, I wouldn't ask anything about jobs. How do you relate in the work environment? No, I don't have a work environment, of course. Yeah.
And after school job, probably, what would be your dream after school job? Probably a little bit adapted.
Maybe something like that. But anyway, still, yeah, I agree with you that some of these things, but most others, I don't know. Yeah, how do you relate, family relations, family and friends, whatever, human relations. Free time, holidays, even health, shopping, I don't know. So yes, obviously it's going to be adapted for 15, 16-year-olds, that's for sure, okay? Okay, what I'm going to give you, first of all, I've come up with a list of sample tasks, things that could come up. Again, this is just my invention, so it doesn't mean it's going to be part of the exam. This is what I think, having a look at the specifications, possible tasks. Okay, so for example, for the interactive task, for the interaction, I just invented. For example, imagine you're receiving a group of students from Sweden or Germany or wherever as part of a school exchange in 3 weeks' time. And you write their teachers an email because you want to organize a sort of party to welcome them to school. I think it's something natural, when they arrive, there's always, some kind of welcome party or whatever. So you want to organize it, so you ask their teachers, what do they like? What do they want to eat? What kind of music do they like? Whatever. So you have to write them an email. I thought of asking their teachers, because, well, number one, you would have to write in English, okay? Not to your teachers, because if you wrote to your teachers, you would do it in Spanish. But now you ask their teachers, and then to know beforehand what they're going to do. Anyway. Or, for example, an American student who spent last year in your school has gone back home, and you write them an email. What was it about? What I said. Exactly. What has changed in school from the previous year? So they have to use something in the past perfect. Okay? Or, for example, this is based on reality. A Spanish fund is giving grants to students who would like to take 1 year abroad, who study 1 year abroad. So they have to write a piece of writing, in this case an email, saying, why they would like to apply for the grant, blah, blah, whatever. Okay? Possible things that sounded realistic to me, that they may have to do realistically, okay? And in terms of production, yes. As I said, typically write a blog post about, or write an article for a school magazine about. So it tends to be about different topics. Describing, for example, your favorite invention. That was one of the possibilities. And this is what we're going to be having a look later. Or for example, write a blog post explaining your 3 New Year's resolutions, what you intend to do to keep them. So you have health, you have sport, whatever. Yeah. For example, write a commentary about a film you watched recently. Any film, so it may be a recently released film or whatever, and give reasons why you recommend it to others. Typical task. If they want to assess how they use the future, so imagine life in 25 years' time. What will be different? What will have changed? What will you be doing in 25 years' time? So all the future pieces. Okay. Then write an article for the school magazine called "The School Rules I Hate the Most." So you're talking about school and education. Yeah. Write a blog post about giving 5 tips to visitors to your city or town, wherever they may live, they're visiting. So 5 tips. And then think about, in general, teenagers' eating habits, and write a post, for example, for the physical education blog, if they're teaching PE in English. So imagine they had a blog. So write a post for the blog explaining how you could improve these eating habits. I know, as Angela was saying, trying to adapt these topics into something that might be more related to their interests or their ages or whatever.
Do they have any?
Okay, again, this is taken from the specifications, and these are the assessment criteria, the success criteria. Because as I mentioned last week, there is a new law, there's a new royal decree, governing how, governing assessment and whatever in the Escuelas Oficiales de Idiomas. Every aspect needs to have exactly the same importance. So everything needs to be, in this case, because there are 4 criteria, everything is 25%. Okay? So the first element to be taken into account is how you communicate, how effective you are. When you read this piece of writing, does it convince you? What impression does it make? Is it really answering the question you've been given? And lots of things that we're going to have a look at. Okay? Then the second one, how the text is organized. Is it coherent? Is it cohesive? Does it have a proper structure, introduction, conclusion, etc.? Then there are 2 elements that have to do with language. The first one has to do with the range of language. Basically, are you showing your level? Are you writing at B1 level? Are you showing it? Yes. In terms of grammar, vocabulary. Okay. And then the last one has to do with accuracy, how accurate and correct your English is. Okay? What I've shown you comes from the specifications, but because we talked about the companion volume, okay, let's see where this comes. I mean, they say that in the specifications, but it comes from the companion. So, in general, when they talk about, the overall written production, students are supposed to write straightforward, just connected text, so it has to do with, cohesion, coherence, on a range of familiar subjects, because we're talking about B1, as we said, okay? Within their field of interest, again, by linking a series of shorter, discrete elements into a linear sequence. And probably, as you know, many times, they may write individual sentences. They write sentences rather than paragraphs. That's one of the problems many times. Okay, so yes, that's one of the things that appears on the... And then there are different descriptors. For example, for creative writing, it's one of the possibilities. So they say, for example, that they can clearly signal chronological sequence. We'll be talking about that. Can write a simple review of a film, book, or TV program. Can write descriptions, for example, or accounts of experiences in simple, connected text. Simple but connected. Can write a description of an event, real or imagined, and can narrate a story. So these text types can appear. For reports and essays, which are mentioned in the specifications, can write short, simple essays on topics of interest. And then you have all else. Can summarize, can write brief reports, can present a topic in a short report. And if you remember, we also talked about the strategies that have descriptors in the companion as well. So probably for your preparation and when students are preparing to actually write, they have these 3 strategies. Number 1, we've mentioned already, planning. Yeah, that's important. Then compensating and monitoring and repair. Planning, yes. For example, can rehearse and try out new combinations. This is basically when you're preparing this in class. So this is not the exam situation, but you've been asked to write about whatever. So yes, I'm going to try, I'm going to do something and see if it works. Because that way, your teacher can give you feedback. Or your classmates can give you feedback. You can have peer assessment as well. And then maybe in the exam, they can work out how to communicate the main points, exploiting resources available. If they're not in the exam, they can access dictionaries, for example. If they're in the exam, they have to rely on their own resources, of course. Yes, but definitely planning. We've mentioned it before. Then compensating, the second strategy. It says, can define the features of something concrete for which he can't remember the word. Yes, I know it's there, I can't get it now. Yeah, so do something, compensate it in another way, okay? Or can use a simple word, meaning something similar. Okay, I don't remember that, but it's something similar to this, which is simpler, but at least I'm communicating. And then we discussed it last week as well, repairing. Can correct mix-ups with tenses or expressions. Sometimes when students submit writing tasks, and you say, oh, come on, have a look at this, have a look at this, have a look at this. I'm not telling you. Come on, you, yourself, have a look. How would you change it? What needs to be changed? Yeah. Can ask for confirmation, or can use a different tactic when communication breaks down. If they're planning and they notice, no, I don't know how to continue, no, start again. Yeah, so be able to do all this.